Hello, everyone. This is Mr. James Bender, Criminal Justice Club instructor. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's podcast. We have our guest speaker today, Mr. Javon Jones from the Child Protective Services area. Mr. Jones, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your job and what exactly the Child Protective Services does for our state here in Michigan. Can you talk to us a little bit about your job?
All right, yep. Just a basic definition of child protective service worker. What we do is we investigate allegations or complaints that are called in regarding children that may have been abused or neglected. So we investigate those complaints in the state of Michigan.
Okay. Now, this agency or this department, what area does it fall under? I guess for the state of Michigan, what department does it fall under?
Child Protective Services falls under Department of Human Services for the state of Michigan. So our director is Corrigan.
Okay.
He used to be a judge, but that's where Child Protective Services fall under in regards to the departments in the state of Michigan.
All right, interesting. Now I know you yourself, you were a former criminal justice student, and so is that one of the majors that students would recommend if you're a criminal justice student? Is this a job that you might be interested in going in? What type of disciplines from college may want to go into this career area?
As far as educational qualifications,
Yes.
disciplines, some of the areas, yes, criminal justice would be one of them. Other areas would be social work, sociology, psychology, family, ecology, consumer community services, family studies, family and or child development guidance, counseling, are areas that would be able to go in this type of field or type of disciplines that would assist you in the Child Protective Service area as far as type of career.
Okay, so I was looking at what types of preparation specifically in education. So you listed a lot of types of disciplines. So you don't necessarily have to be a criminal justice major. You can be somewhere in one of those social science type areas. What
Correct.
type of personality would you recommend a student have if they're interested in doing this kind of work?
Personal
Now,
characteristics.
yeah. Yep,
For the type
exactly.
of job, I would say initially, of course, compassion. Because the families that we work with, usually we're working with them at a very critical time in their lives, which is probably not the best time in their lives. But you have to be compassionate, and sometimes we may have to deal with a family where the allegations are just totally false. There's no evidence to it, and we have to be able to deal with folks respectfully. So again, being compassionate with people, also patience. With some of these families, we may get numerous complaints within a year, and there are some needs there, but we wouldn't necessarily substantiate them for child abuse and neglect. And if we do, we have to work with these families because, again, this is they're used to this type of way of living, and teaching and going in and trying to help them to make changes. That's not something that happens overnight. And as far as our interventions, it's just so much that we can do with the resources that we have. But we're not to fix all. So we have to be patient with these families and identify progress when it comes. I think also we have to be able to look for solutions, look for strengths. When dealing with families, because we can be overwhelmed with looking at things in regards to what is not happening. But every family has strengths, and to be able to build off of those when we're trying to help them address some of their insufficiencies. So patience,
Okay.
and compassion, I think, is strong, important personal characteristics to have with this type of job.
Well, do you consider yourself, in this area, should be a people person, like people, like to really help folks and to help them to turn their lives around and get things in order in their home? Is there like preventive stuff before you would go in?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you want you want to be able to work with people, communicate with people, because you're communicating not only with families, you're communicating with lawyers and judges and other agencies that are working with the family. You definitely want to be able to be a people person and be able to get out and connect and communicate with people effectively.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the job specifically, like the daily duties. Can you kind of describe your daily duties to us and how
Yeah.
you perform those?
Well, basically, as Child Protective Services, we have to investigate complaints and allegations that we receive. And so when we get a complaint, we have someone who works on what is called intake, and someone can call in anonymously. We have mandated reporters like teachers, doctors, principals, folks that work with children, counselors. We have a phone number where they can call into. And then once we get the complaint, we get the information that we need to be able to connect with this family and the children to begin our investigation, to gather information in regards to the allegations that were given. And so when we go out and interview the families and other people that may know about the family, we're trying to see if there's evidence that would substantiate them for child abuse and neglect. And child abuse and neglect, the definition of that is that it has to be someone that's responsible, a parent or someone who stays in the home that has caused injury or been neglectful to the children that is not considered by an accident. So we have to be able to justify, because any reports that we create from these investigations or the information that we get, we have to type up a report, and we have to be able to support it by what the definition of child abuse and neglect is. So again, once we do our field investigation, we go out in the field and talk to people, and we come back to the office, and we have to complete these assessments on a program that we work on, as well as input our information, our contacts that we made with people in the field to generate our reports. And once our reports are done, we submit those. We have what is mandated by the federal government. We have 30 days to do our investigation. There's other things as far as timelines that we have to meet as far as getting information into the system and individuals that we have to contact. So we have to really follow the policy and refer to the policy. And if we miss it, we have our supervisors who let us know, there's certain things that were missed, and we have to get it done for those investigations. So that's pretty much the gist of our day. I mean, we're on the phone, we're typing, we're faxing out information. When we're out in the field, we're gathering information to complete our assessments, our reports, and our investigation. And then if there's no child abuse and neglect, then we close that case, that investigation, and, of course, we'll go another round with others, another case. In those cases where it is substantiated, we may have to remove a kid. We have to come up with reports to submit to the courts, where we have to petition for a kid to be removed. If it's to that degree, sometimes we don't have to remove a kid. Sometimes we'll call different agencies to find services to get into the home to prevent removal. Removal is supposed to be the last resort unless there's no other choice.
All right.
That's where it goes as far as for our days.
Okay. Well, you mentioned a couple key things I picked up on. You said investigate and write reports. Do you recommend students take some additional classes in those areas, like for instance, a report writing class? Would that be a beneficial type of a course to take at community college, like at LCC or Ferris, if they were going to do this type of career field?
It can help. Writing, any type of writing, continue to improve writing skills. But there's a different type of writing with this type of report. There's police officers, I think, kind of write a different type of report. Our report.
Do you have a system that you type into, or is it like you just go and have a field notebook, and then from there you just start generating notes? Was it like a computer generated template, and then you just start filling the boxes.
Yeah, it's like a program that has a template, and then we'll input the information that we need to put in to the report that is required to be in the reports. And when you start the job and where you work at, depending on what counties, you know, that type of training in regards to what needs to be in reports, you'll gain that when you go through training and when you know you go through the first year of employment with with Child Protective Services. You know, the main thing is gathering information needs to be in the reports is the main thing when creating these reports. So typically each report it will have the same information that is requested, but what is gained from the families and investigation, you know, of course, would be different because each family is different. But the information that we're
Okay.
seeking out, based on the allegations, is typically, similar in regards to what we need to request for.
So how do you do your investigations, your investigation skills? I mean, is that something you just pick up on the job? Do you get scenario-based that you have to read and then think through? Or how do you develop your investigation skills? I've heard
Investigation
that. You say
skills
that a couple
is
times.
experience, of course, is the best teacher, but we have what is called forensic interviewing training, and so we have to learn how to forensically interview children, and so that, you know, if we get a statement from them, it won't be jeopardized in court if we have to use it in court. That we follow the forensic interview protocol. There's also, you know, training in regards to forensically interviewing with adults. You know, trying to interview them in different fashions. So we get training on that, but again, you know, as we get out in the field and working with other workers and observing them, continue to develop those interviewing skills that are needed to, you know, to get the information that is needed.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about the salary range? What's the hourly and monthly or yearly salary for this type of position?
For the entry-level pay for child protective service workers, with a bachelor's degree, the range is $38,700 to $49,400 annually, and that can go up to $53,300 after working in this in this job for 6 years. Service workers that have a master's degree, they can start out at $39,700 to $49,500 annually, and then they can go up to $57,300 in 6 years.
All right. Is there room for like advancement? Are there supervisors and just like specialists, people who specialize in something where you can get specialty degrees? Like in law enforcement, for instance, you may have a K-9 officer, SWAT officer. Do you have additional duties or specialists that may work in this career field?
Child Protective Services, probably the main promotion or advancement would be within this field, would be to become a supervisor. And you know, there's also opportunities where someone can advance to being a trainer and train Child Protective Service workers when they come into the job. And each year we got to have a number of hours of training, and so that's another opportunity of advancement within, you know, the Child Protective Service arena.
Okay. My last question to you is, what other advice do you have for anyone that's considering this as a career field? This is for criminal justice students. Some of them may not want to go into law enforcement. They may not want to go into corrections, and this is another area and opportunity. Do you have any advice that you could consider anyone going into this career field?
Well, I'll start out with just a few questions that they asked us before we got hired, and then I'll transition into, you know, some of the skills that would be good to be aware of, to develop, and or already have, and just, you know, close out with just my experience thus far as being a Child Protective Service worker within the past 6 months. So, but some of the questions that you know to ask yourself is, you know, would you be able to work in a setting where you are required to visit extremely dirty homes? Would you be able to work in a setting where clients may be volatile Would you be comfortable testifying in court? Would you be able to work on a on-call schedule? Are you prepared to perform investigations to determine if a child has been abused or neglected? Are you prepared to remove children from their homes? And so those are the questions they want us to kind of ask ourselves, because those are things that we have to deal with. Some of the advice that, as we were being recruited for this position, that some of the workers that have been in it for a while have given, is to be able to communicate with workers. You got to be able to know how to work as a team, while at the same time independently. You got to be flexible in that way. Be open-minded. Be able to deal with the courts and work with the courts. As far as paperwork, be able to be, prioritize and be organized, because we have a lot of paperwork that we're generating and also that we're getting for each case. Being able to deal with families that where there's a situation where children have to be removed was advice. And being able to, another one will say go over and beyond. This is not just just do my job. You have to, like I said earlier, be compassionate and care for people. And sometimes doing this job, it requires us to go over and beyond. Be open-minded and teachable, because we're always learning. No matter how long we've been in the job, that they say, as far as those that have experience in it, they're always learning. They can't say that they've made it or obtained where they know it all.
Okay.
And so those are some of the advices that they gave. Additional, again, as far as communicating skills, writing, being able to present, being able to multitask, being organized, problem solving, all those things are important. And then lastly, just being in this job, I think is important. To understand that we have to learn how to develop positive coping skills, because this job can be stressful. We deal with a lot of difficult situations, from sexual abuse to child death, and taking kids away from their homes when they felt like they were doing the right thing, but then they're separated from what they know. And so that can be difficult for a worker to deal with when we have to engage in that manner. And we have to learn how to have positive coping skills as workers, and being able to manage those. Stress management is very important. That I have learned thus far, just being in a job, is very important.
Okay. At this point, what I'm going to do is just open it up to the audience and see if any questions come up from the audience. So let's see. At this point, go ahead and type in your questions. If you have questions, we would like for you to put them out there. Okay, we got a question here. Do you have arrest powers?
Okay.
That's for you, Mr. Jones. Yeah. Do you have arrest powers? If you take the child out of the home, you have the ability to arrest the parents?
We don't have the ability to arrest the parents. Child Protective Services, a lot of what we need from the parents is cooperation. But we still have to follow the amendments and laws that is forwarded to each individual. But what we do have the power to do is petition to the courts if we feel a child is not safe. And then once we petition to the courts and they grant our petition to remove a child, again, we can't just go in and move a child. We don't have the authority to do that, but the judge has to approve it. And then that's the way that we go about for a child to be removed. As far as a parent being arrested, we do work with the police, and if there's a criminal charge, we have to do a joint investigation with them. Then, of course, they would, again, as far as their role in it, if a parent has to be arrested, then that's the agency that would take care of that if there's a criminal offense involved.
All right. I hope that answered the question. It sounds a lot like in law enforcement, if you need to get a search warrant, you just can't go in and your office type up a piece of paper, say, oh, we got the ability to come in. You have to go through the court systems, get a judge approval to get a search warrant. So it sounds like it's the same process. And then I was thinking with that arrest, you go into somebody's home, do an investigation, you find drugs, you can get with the local law enforcement agency, and they'll go in, and they'll actually make the arrest. But that was a good question. Another question that came in is, can you go into other states if a family's being investigated and they go into another state and take the child?
Okay.
Can you go to another state and take the child? Okay, yeah.
It's definitely possible. Each state has their own child protection laws, but we have what is called an interstate compact agreement that we try to work with other states to work with families if there's a case where a child has left the state and we need to get that child and get them back, or if we need to determine that that child is safe. So yeah, we can intercommunicate with other agencies as well for our efforts of helping a child or ensuring the well-being of a child.
All right, good. The last question I have here is, what is the training process like?
Okay. When we were trained, there was an 8-week training that we went through after we were approved to come to the job, and this training is
Sounds like the police.
yes,
You got to go to a
selected.
police academy. So
Yeah, so you're selected for an opening. There's paid training, which will be provided in various training centers located throughout the state.
Okay.
There are some accommodations where you may have to stay overnight, and the state will reimburse you for that. But we go through 8-week training, and we cover a lot of information, how to do reports on the computer, investigations, forensic interviewing, as I mentioned earlier, child abuse and neglect, dealing with families that may have kids that may have been sexually abused or traumatized, physically abused, domestic violence in the home, substance abuse, services, how to help these families, how to engage with these families. So there's a number of things that are covered. Child protective laws and policies we review, and we also will go back to the field, go back to our offices, and we would train in the field as well, go out with other workers. And again, this was a period of 8 weeks. That's how they were doing the training. I think that they're in the process of maybe revitalizing the training, but before anyone can get a caseload, there's a period of time where you have to train, and for us it was 8 weeks paid training before you begin to get your own caseload and start investigating cases.
I have an additional question under that. Do you have a field training officer? So like you complete your training, do you have to shadow someone for a couple months or something, or when you get your first 2 or 3 cases, or do you have that type of a field training officer as well?
During your initial 8 weeks of training, there's the opportunity to be able to shadow someone.
Okay.
During that part, once you are done with that 8 weeks of training, you get your caseload, and your supervisor is primarily the one that will be responsible to make sure that you're getting the things that you need done in your investigation and your reports.
Excellent. All right. Any more questions at this time? Just want to give a second. I just want to thank you for this. This has been a great podcast, and I appreciate your time and the work that you do. Sounds like the work is very much needed in our society and our community, and I really want to thank you and appreciate it. It doesn't look like we have any more questions. So with this said, and I appreciate everyone's time here, and to the next time. Have a good day.
You're welcome.